नमस्कार दोस्तों, कैसे हैं आप सभी लोग। तो लास्ट क्लास में हमने बात की थी सीओपीडी के बारे में। सीओपीडी में हमने एम्फाइसीमा पढ़ लिया था और पिछली क्लास में हमने पिछली वीडियो में पिछले लेक्चर में हमने बात की थी ब्रोंकाइटिस के बारे में। आज हम दोनों चीज़ों को डिवाइड करके डिफ्रेंशिएट करके देखते हैं कि दोनों ही डिजीज़ के अंदर क्या क्या डिफ्रेंशिएशन है और क्या क्या उन दोनों के अंदर समानताएं हैं। तो देखें, एम्फाइसीमा के अंदर क्या हो रहा था कि जो हमारे टर्मिनल ब्रोंक्यूल्स और जो रेस्पिरेटरी ब्रोंक्यूल्स थे वहाँ पे प्रोटीएस क्या कर रहा था, अल्फा 1 एंटीट्रिप्सिन की कमी होने की वजह से या डेफिशिएंसी होने की वजह से प्रोटीएस क्या कर रहा था, जो वॉल्स थी उन वॉल्स को डिग्रेड कर रहा था, जिसकी वजह से वॉल्स की जो इंटीग्रिटी थी वो ब्रेक डाउन हो गई थी। तो यहाँ पे बुल्ला फॉर्मेशन देखने को मिल रहा था। तो एम्फाइसीमा का फर्स्ट हॉलमार्क साइन क्या है कि बुल्ला फॉर्मेशन। एंड क्रोनिक ब्रोंकाइटिस के अंदर क्या हो रहा है कि ड्यू टू द ओवर प्रोडक्शन ऑफ द म्यूकस फ्रॉम द हाइपरट्रॉफी एंड हाइपरप्लेजिया ऑफ म्यूसिनस ग्लैंड्स। मैं पिछली वीडियो में इसका मेंशन कर चुका हूँ। यदि आपको ये वीडियो देखनी है तो आप न्यूरोहब 21 की रेस्पिरेटरी प्लेलिस्ट में जाके आप ये वीडियो देख सकते हैं। तो मैंने क्या कहा था कि ड्यू टू द ओवर प्रोडक्शन of mucus, why overproduction was happening? Due to the hyperplasia and hypertrophy of the mucinous glands, overproduction of mucus was occurring, and there what is happening? Congestion was occurring, so that oxygen is not able to penetrate that pathway, and PO2 is decreasing and PCO2 is also increasing. Why PCO2 is increasing? बिकॉज एक्सहेल करने में उसको प्रॉब्लम आएगी, क्योंकि इलास्टिक रिकॉइल की वजह से जो रास्ता होगा, जो एयरवे का पाथ होगा, जो ल्यूमन होगा, वो क्या होगा, स्टिक हो जाएगा, ताकि CO2 क्या है वो बाहर की तरफ इजीली जा नहीं पाएगी। तो ये प्रॉब्लम हो रही है क्रोनिक ब्रोंकाइटिस में। नाउ एम्फाइसीमा के पेशेंट को हम बोल रहे हैं पिंक पफर्स, एंड क्रोनिक ब्रोंकाइटिस के पेशेंट को हम बोल रहे थे ब्लू ब्लोटर्स। वाई ब्लू? बिकॉज साइनोसिस हो रहा था, PCO2 इंक्रीज हो रहा है, देयरफॉर साइनोसिस इज प्रेजेंट। साइनोसिस इज प्रेजेंट। वाई ब्लोटर्स? बिकॉज राइट हार्ट वेंट्रिकुलर फेलियर हो रहा है, ठीक है। तो एडिमा होने की वजह से इस पेशेंट को हम क्या बोल रहे हैं, ब्लू ब्लोटर्स। और पिंक पफर्स इसको क्यों बोल रहे हैं? बिकॉज वहाँ पे कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड की मात्रा इंक्रीज नहीं हो रही, साइनोसिस इज एब्सेंट, साइनोसिस वॉज एब्सेंट। देयरफॉर इस पेशेंट को टेकिपनिया करने की वजह से, प्रोलॉन्ग रेस्पिरेशन करने की वजह से इस पेशेंट को हम क्या बोल रहे हैं, पिंक पफर्स। मैंने एक चीज़ और मेंशन की थी कि पर्स्ड लिप ब्रीदिंग इज सीन इन एम्फाइसीमा। आप लिख लीजिए, नोट इट डाउन अगेन, pursed lip breathing is seen in emphysema. What is pursed lip breathing? जैसे हम किसी मोमबत्ती को फूंक मारते हैं तो उस मोमबत्ती के फूंक मारने को हम क्या बोलते हैं, जैसे करके जब हम ब्रीदिंग करते हैं या मोमबत्ती को फूंक मारते हुए जब हम वो एक्शन लेते हैं, उस टाइप की ब्रीदिंग को हम बोलते हैं pursed lip breathing. Now let us see. Dyspnea is present on exertion. एम्फाइसीमा में जब वो व्यक्ति कोई काम कर रहा था, जैसे वो बाल्टी उठा रहा है या फिर वो सीढ़ी चढ़ के आगे जा रहा है या फिर वो जैसे ब्रश कर रहा है, जब भी वो कोई डेली एक्टिविटी का, दैनिक दिनचर्या का वो कोई काम कर रहा था तो उसको डिस्निया हो रहा था, मतलब डिस्निया वाइल डूइंग एक्सर्शन। But what is occurring in the chronic bronchitis? Dyspnea is present on rest. अच्छा, why dyspnea is present in rest in chronic bronchitis? We need to understand that point. Why? Because PCO2 is increasing. Cyanosis is present. Why cyanosis is present? Due to the blockage or due to the obstruction or due to the narrowing of the lumen of the airways. Due to the overproduction of mucus, CO2 is increasing. Therefore, PCO2 is increasing in the chronic bronchitic condition, and due to that increase in PCO2, lactic acid formation is occurring, and lactic acid formation leads to fatigue. So that's why dyspnea on rest is present in the chronic bronchitis. You know this, I already mentioned in my previous videos that PO2 was decreasing and PCO2 is also decreasing. Mark my words, note my lips, PO2 and both PCO2 and PO2 is decreasing in emphysema. So therefore type 1 respiratory failure is seen in the emphysema condition. There, and in chronic bronchitis condition, what is actually occurring, that PO2 is decreasing, but PCO2 is also increasing. Therefore, this type of failure is called type 2 respiratory failure. Now, respiratory alkalosis is present in the emphysema condition, and in the chronic bronchitis condition, respiratory acidosis is present. Respiratory acidosis. Why respiratory acidosis? Due to the increasing of the PCO2, because CO2 is not able to wash out during expiration. Now, cyanosis is absent in the emphysema condition, and cyanosis is present in the chronic bronchitis condition. These are some differences between both the disease. Although both the disease comes under the umbrella term of COPD, but there are some minute differences between these two diseases. Now let us talk about some similarities. There also air trapping was occurring. Here also air trapping is occurring. In emphysema, hyperinflation was occurring. In chronic bronchitis also hyperinflation is occurring. In emphysema, hypoxemia was occurring. In chronic bronchitis also hypoxemia is occurring. In emphysema, pulmonary vasoconstriction leads to pulmonary hypertension was occurring. In chronic bronchitis also pulmonary hypertension and vasoconstriction is occurring. In emphysema, cor pulmonale and right ventricular failure is occurring. What is cor pulmonale? I already mentioned कि because of the pulmonary hypertension, right ventricular failure, right ventricle is not able to pump blood, or doing systole or contract due to the pulmonary hypertension, is not able to push the blood forward. So that's why both together, that is pulmonary hypertension plus right ventricular failure, both together is termed as cor pulmonale. So cor pulmonale is present in emphysema also, and cor pulmonale is present in the chronic bronchitis also. So these are some similarities between the two. So now let me talk about how we diagnose the patient of COPD. How we diagnose the patient of COPD. The diagnosis of the patient with COPD can be done only be done first by HRCT. High resolution computed tomography, CT scan, but high resolution. And what will be the HRCT finding in the patient with COPD is, suppose this is your lungs. Both this lung is getting hyperinflated and increase in the size is also occurring. So therefore, your heart will get constricted. Therefore, what will be the HRCT finding will be, first, tubular heart is present. Your heart will get contract, that's why tubular heart. This is the classical HRCT finding in the patient with COPD. The next one is, after tubular heart, we will see flattening of the diaphragms. Flattening flattening of the diaphragm. And the third one, the third HRCT finding will be air trapping. Air trapping will be seen. This is the HRCT finding. This is the first diagnosis in the patient with COPD. Now note it down, guys. Let me delete it. Pause the video and note it down. Now, first one is HRCT. The second one is PFT, pulmonary function test. Pulmonary function test. What is pulmonary function test? We will do the spirometry. In this pulmonary function test, we will ask the patient, हम पेशेंट से ये पूछेंगे कि आपको क्या करना है कि फोर्सफुली एक्सहेलेशन करना है. FEV1, forced expiratory volume, forced expiratory volume in 1 second. In FEV1, this is not FEV, this is FEV1. So what 1 denotes? 1 is denoting the time, forced expiratory volume in 1 second. मतलब कहने का मतलब ये है कि 1 सेकंड के अंदर क्या होगा कि जब हम पेशेंट से बोलेंगे कि फोर्सफुली उसको एक्सपायरेशन करना है और वो भी 1 सेकंड के अंदर, तो उसका जो रेशियो होगा FEV1 by FVC. What is FVC? This is the forced vital capacity. Forced vital capacity. Forced vital capacity. The ratio of FEV1 by FVC is what is called is will be less than 75%. This is the pulmonary function test of COPD. If it is less than 75%, then it is confirmed COPD. Why? Let me tell you one more thing. After the FEV1 by, this is the gold standard of measuring COPD. FEV1 by FVC ratio is less than 75%, sorry. Now, one more thing, to make a confirmatory diagnosis in COPD, we will give him salbutamol. And salbutamol, you all know, is a LABA, long-acting beta-2 agonist. We will give the patient inhaled LABA, that is salbutamol, and ask the patient to again exhale forcefully in 1 second. If the FEV1 ratio after inhaling LABA, after inhaling salbutamol, if the FEV1 ratio does not increase, then 12%, this is the case of confirmed COPD. This will be the confirmatory diagnosis of a COPD patient. Now, one more thing. Let me delete it. I will classify COPD I will classify the patient of COPD by mild, moderate, severe and very severe. Very severe. Let me classify it. Why I am classifying? Because different type of COPD needs different type of treatment. According to that classification, we will treat the patient. Let me tell you how. What is mild COPD? If the FEV1 ratio is greater than 80%, this term is called mild COPD. If the FEV1 ratio, FEV1 forced expiratory volume is between 50% to 80%, this will be the moderate condition. What is severe then? If the FEV1 is up to 30% to 50%, this is the severe condition of COPD. And if the patient is very severe, then FEV1 will be less than 30%. So we will treat according to the types of COPD, according to the classification of the COPD. What we will treat, what will be the treatment here will be, let me tell you. So this is the classification. Note it guys, pause the video and note it. Now, let me delete it. Now I will treat the patient of COPD. One more thing to tell you, we will treat the patient of COPD according to the condition. We will not give the same drugs given in chronic bronchitis to the emphysematic patient. Why? Let me tell you this. First of all, we need to know why we are giving drugs. If this core concept is clear, then you will know why we are giving the patient the drugs in emphysema and chronic bronchitis. Let me tell you. First, to reduce the symptoms. It is already known that emphysema is an irreversible condition. It cannot be cured completely because we can reduce its symptoms, but it cannot be cured completely. So that's why our first motto, our first agenda, our first objective is to reduce the symptom. That's why we are giving drugs to that patient. Our second is to improve, note it guys, to improve the quality of life. It is already known that emphysematic patient or a patient with COPD is no longer can survive, but how much time is remaining in his life, we can improve that quality of life. So that's why we are giving the drugs. And the third one is to maintain the daily activities of patient. What are the daily activities? Brushing teeth, bathing, walking, pulling up the bucket. So these are some daily activities so that the patient can do. Because dyspnea on exertion and dyspnea on rest is occurring is the classical hallmark sign of the chronic bronchitis and emphysema. So therefore, these three are the various conditions that why we are giving drugs. First of all, let me tell you the treatment of emphysema, how we will treat the patient with emphysema. First step is smoking cessation. Note it down, guys. This step is far more important than giving drugs, because the main problem was when we are smoking, when we are coming in the contact of the smoke, protease is degrading the walls of the elastin, that is walls of the airway. So first and foremost and most significant step in the treatment of emphysema is the smoking cessation. Cessation means complete stoppage. Complete stoppage. Next thing, because why? Let me again make this diagram. Suppose this is your bulla. So protease is coming, and protease suppose this is the protease. When protease is coming in the elastin and it is degrading, our B lymphocyte is releasing cytokines, and these cytokines in turn release leukotrienes. These leukotrienes and cytokines fight with, suppose this is your protease and this is your cytokines. So these cytokines do the phagocytosis of the protease. But because this cytokine is a proteolysis enzyme, so it also breaks down the elastin. So therefore, why we are cessation of smoking is done, because to not release that protease, so that it is degrading elastin, and also stimulates the cytokines to degrade it far more. This is the first reason, first treatment of the emphysematic patient. Next thing, influenza vaccine या pneumococcal vaccine. Pneumococcal vaccine. This is the influenza vaccine, and pneumococcal vaccine is inhibiting the colony formation in the why colony formation? Because in chronic bronchitis, stresses of mucus production was occurring due to the damage of the ciliated pseudocolumnar epithelial cell. So therefore, due to that damage, cilia is not able to move forward the mucus, so mucus stresses was occurring, and due to that mucus that is what is occurring, that purulent sputum is forming because of the bacterial colony formation. To prevent that bacterial colony formation, we are administering the pneumococcal and influenza vaccine. The third one is the roflumilast. Before roflumilast, one more important point. I will make it clear. I will dive it deeper in of the drug roflumilast. But before roflumilast, let me tell you one more thing. One more important thing we need to add it here is a buccal nicotinic spray. Buccal nicotinic spray. Why buccal nicotinic spray? Because the patient is smoking cigarette from last 15 to 20 years. So in that span of time क्या हुआ, उसने अपने निकोटिनिक रिसेप्टर्स को इतना ज़्यादा स्टिमुलेट कर लिया कि अब वो निकोटिन के बिना वो रह नहीं सकता. पर अब हमने पहला ट्रीटमेंट यहाँ का इम्पॉर्टेंट जो सिग्निफिकेंट ट्रीटमेंट था वो क्या था कि स्मोकिंग को सिसेट कराना है, सिसेशन ऑफ द स्मोकिंग करानी है, स्मोकिंग को कम्प्लीटली स्टॉप कराना है. लेकिन अब उसके निकोटिनिक अर्ज तो होगी बिकॉज निकोटिनिक रिसेप्टर्स आर ईगरली वेटिंग फॉर निकोटिन टू कम एंड रिसीव इन दैट रिसेप्टर्स. So to demand or to supply that urge, we will administer buccal nicotinic spray, and because of that buccal nicotinic spray, nicotine will received by receptor, nicotinic urge will stop. So therefore, and हम उसको सिगरेट भी नहीं पिला रहे लेकिन निकोटिन भी उसको मिल गया, एक तीर से दो शिकार. आई होप आपको ये चीज़ समझ आई होगी. So this is the most important thing we are doing in the patient with emphysema. Why we are not giving bronchodilators here? Yes, we will give, but it is the not important treatment. It is not the major one. Major three treatments are these three in the patient with emphysema. Yes, I am not saying that bronchodilators we will not use. We will use bronchodilators, but in chronic bronchitis, bronchodilator therapy will be the principal treatment. Again, mark my words, bronchodilator therapy will be the principal treatment in the chronic bronchitis condition. But here, the principal treatment will be smoking cessation, influenza pneumococcal vaccine, and buccal nicotinic spray. One more thing, now I will dive in the roflumilast drug. Last but not the least, roflumilast drug. This roflumilast, I told you previously, let me delete it. Let me delete it. Now, this is the bulla. So in this bulla, protease is coming and damaging the elastin because of the deficiency of alpha-1 antitrypsin. I mentioned in the previous lecture. Watch that video also. You will better understand this. So, this protease stimulates the B lymphocytes to release cytokines, and these cytokines release in turn leukotrienes. These cytokines come to the elastin, and suppose this is the protease and this is the cytokine. This cytokine does phagocytosis because the nature of the cytokines is a proteolytic, so this also damages the elastin to more extent and will exacerbate the condition, will worsening the condition of the COPD. So therefore, roflumilast drug is that drug which inhibits the leukotrienes and also the cytokines. This roflumilast drug inhibits the leukotrienes and cytokines to do the phagocytosis, because phagocytosis is a good process, but along with phagocytosis it is also damaging the proteins present in the elastin of the walls of the airways. So we are giving roflumilast drug, and the most important one in the patient with COPD, or we can say that emphysema. I am telling you the treatment of emphysema. The most important one and the last one is the fifth one, oxygen supplementation. Oxygen supplementation 15 hours per day, greater than 15 hours per day, with one more thing. Now it is not possible to give 15 hours per day oxygen supplementation with that weightage cylinder. We will give it with portable cylinder, portable, which we can carry while doing our work. Portable oxygen cylinder, portable oxygen cylinder. So this is the treatment of emphysema. Now quickly I will tell you the treatment of chronic bronchitis. Chronic bronchitis. Let me tell you, मैंने क्या कहा था कि FEV1 was, if greater than 80%, it is mild. So treatment of mild COPD is short acting beta 2 agonist plus anticholinergics. हमने फिजियोलॉजी में पढ़ा था कि पैरासिम्पैथेटिक सिस्टम क्या करता है, ब्रोंको कॉन्स्ट्रिक्शन करता है। और जब हम फार्माकोलॉजी पढ़ते हैं तो हमें ये पता होता है कि जो पैरासिम्पैथेटिक सिस्टम होता है वो कोलिनर्जिक सिस्टम की तरह वर्क करता है। तो पैरासिम्पैथेटिक सिस्टम इज ऑल्सो टर्म्ड एज कोलिनर्जिक सिस्टम। सो दिस कोलिनर्जिक system is doing bronchoconstriction. I am writing it here, anticholinergic system. So anticholinergic will oppose the cholinergic process. So bronchodilation is the key process of the anticholinergics. So what will be the drug of choice in mild COPD? Mild COPD, remember that, note it down guys, pause the video and note it down. SABA with anticholinergics, that is albuterol plus ipratropium bromide, ipratropium bromide. This is the treatment of mild. Now I will tell you the treatment of moderate. Again learn what is the ratio of moderate FEV1 ratio, forced expiratory volume in 1 second. Ratio of moderate one is, look at me, look at the board, that is 50 to 80%. That is called as moderate. The treatment of moderate will change. Treatment of moderate will change. We will give here LABA, long acting beta 2 agonist. Let me explain what is beta 2 agonist. Beta 2 agonist is an adrenergic drug, long acting beta adrenergic agonist. Adrenergic system always do the bronchodilation. I also mentioned in my previous video of cholinergic system. Watch the video, you will just go to the pharmacology section of NeuroHub 21 and watch that video. So LABA agonist plus anticholinergic cholinergic. And what will be the treatment of choice in moderate COPD? It will be salbutamol or salmeterol. Salmeterol is also a long-acting beta agonist, and formoterol along with triotropium, not ipratropium was the drug of choice in mild COPD. Here triotropium bromide. Triotropium bromide is also an atropine derivative anticholinergic drug. Atropine derivative anticholinergic drug, because atropine works against the cholinergic system. So it is an atropine derivative anticholinergic drug used for bronchodilation. So these two drugs will combine to treat the moderate COPD, that is 50 to 80% FEV1 ratio. Next thing, if the FEV1 ratio is 30 to 50%, that is severe COPD, then what will happen? We will give ICS plus LABA, inhaled corticosteroid, with long-acting beta-2 agonist. And what is long-acting beta-2 agonist? We will inhale it. Acha, one more thing I forgot to include, that SABA and LABA is also given in an inhaled form and nebulized form. So here also inhaled corticosteroid will given with LABA. And what will be the combination then? Fluticasone will be combined with salmeterol. Fluticasone will combine with salmeterol, and next combination is budesonide with formoterol. This is the treatment of choice in patient with severe COPD, that is FEV1 ratio is 30 to 50%. And the last topic of our class, that is the treatment of very severe COPD. Note it down guys, mark my words, treatment of severe COPD. FEV1 less than 30%. So what will be the treatment? Note it down. Intravenous corticosteroid with LABA. That will be the treatment of choice in the patient with severe COPD. I hope you like the video guys. Kindly share it to the needy ones. Let you all blossom into your heightened possibility. Thank you for watching.